So now we're going to go to the trade. Okay, so we're going to put this up here, and now we're going to go to trade. So we need trade to get more to be better off. Okay, let me change this. Trade to become better off. So without trade, you just both sides just be left with a whole bunch of stuff. More stuff they could have got when they're alone, but they didn't want to because they don't like just having one thing. Okay, so let's try to set this up in a way that won't be too confusing. So we can put the US over here, and we put Mexico over here. And right now we're going to start off with what they have, corn, and then avocados, right? And then Mexico also, we're going to have corn and avocados. Okay. And we're going to start off with what they just produced after specializing. So the US produced 100 corn and no avocados. And Mexico produced 120 avocados and no corn. And so now they're going to do a trade. So we'll talk in a second about how to do this. It's a little tricky. So the US is going to send corn, and Mexico is going to send avocados. What we have to decide is, well, how much should they send, right? How much should they send in order for it to be a fair trade, or a trade that both sides will benefit and both sides will accept, because you can always refuse the trade. So really what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, to make sure they're better off, we have to compare to what they were doing before. So I'm going to go up for a second. I'll be right back down. So before they were at this point, US was at this point U, and Mexico was at this point M. And to be better off, we're going to say that they have to have more of both things, right? So if we get more of one thing and less of the other, we're not sure if they're better off because we don't know what they like, right? So to be better off, we're going to say they have to get more of both things. So we're going to make it, so basically the better off area is somewhere here. So if our trade can get them out here, they can do something that was impossible for them alone, and they can also we can also be sure that they're better off because they're getting more of both things. Okay, so that area bounded out there is where we want to hit. Okay, so there's kind of a way to do this. We can say, well, and I have the numbers just up above. So we can go, well, the US before had 50 corn, right? So they're going to want to keep at least 50, because they had 50 before when they were not, before they specialized and before they were trading. And they also had to they were getting 10 avocados, so they're going to want to still get at least 10, right? So they need to keep at least 50 of their corn. They can't give it all away. If they give it all away, then they might be worse off than before. And Mexico was getting 30 corn before, so they want to get at least 30. So we can write that as greater than or equal to. And finally, Mexico was getting 60 avocados before, so they want to keep, they want to keep at least keep at least 60. Okay, so this sets the bound for our trade. So the bound for our trade is, well, our corn is they have to give Mexico at least 30, but they can't give them more than 50. If they give them more than 50, they're worse off. If they give them less than 30, Mexico won't agree. And for avocados, Mexico can give the US 10 or more, but they can't give them more than 60, because if they give more than 60, they might be worse off. Okay, so this establishes the range for our trade, and we can do any number in between there. So I'm going to pick one example, but again, this is just one example. So let's suppose the US gives Mexico 40 corn, and in exchange, Mexico gives the US 30 avocados, okay, or units of avocado. We don't know how big these units are. So now we can finish this problem. So now Mexico has 40 corn, and the US gave away 40, so they only have 60 remaining. And then Mexico gives the US 30 avocados, so now they have 30 because they had 0 before. And because they gave away 30, they have 90 remaining. Okay, so this green number shows their consumption afterwards. And so we can say, well, we got more consumption, right? They got more consumption. If the US, before they had 50, now they have 60. So we got the US they got 10 more corn, and they had 10 avocados before, now they got 30, and they got 20 more avocado. Okay, and Mexico is also better off. Before they had 30 corn, now they have 40, so they got 10 more, right? 40 minus 30. And also they had 60 avocado before, and now they have 90, so they get 30 more avocado, right? So we've shown here both sides get more production. Yeah, total production is more, but more consumption for both sides is the important part, right? So we get more consumption for both sides. So that's the key idea here. We get more consumption for both sides, and we get and so both sides are better off. Now, this doesn't mean that somebody in each country might be hurt a little bit, but still overall the countries benefit, right? Overall, both countries have benefited from this situation. I'll come back in one more video and we'll investigate the details of this game. So one thing we can do is we can go ahead and put this onto our graphs. So let me redraw the graph real quick. Okay, so remember before what they were consuming. So before, with no trade, the US was at 50 and 10. This was US, and Mexico was at 30 and 60. Okay, so this was them with no trade. And now we can go ahead and put our trade onto there. So we put our trade onto there. Well, now the US is getting, let's use a different color. Okay, now the US is getting 60 and all the way out here to 30. Way the heck out here. Yeah. So this is really big benefit. And for Mexico, they're also now getting more. They're now getting 40 somewhere here. Also big benefit. So both sides have the key is for both of these countries, trade allows both countries. So the trade allows both countries to achieve something that is impossible alone. That's the key part, and that's the cool part about doing this with the PPF. So when you see it, you say, well, okay, we remember from chapter 2 that in this PPF you can't get beyond your production possibility frontier. That's the whole point of the definition of the production possibility frontier. But actually we've shown here in this little example that if you have a difference in comparative advantage with another country and you trade with them, that actually both sides can achieve things that are impossible if they are alone. Right? So this is the basic idea of this. So we got more production, we got more consumption.